Man, these skies look ominous, guys. It's looking like some weird stuff going down. Heaven above and heaven right here. Which do you choose? Dude, I can't believe this. Look at, there's a homeless tent behind there. See right in here? Check that out. It's a homeless village. Look at this, dude. Look at where they live. That's crazy, dude. Yeah, we gotta do something about the homeless, you know. That's just it's just mind-blowing. I mean, look at where these people live, dude. Right next to this, they're breathing that crap, dude. We're in our nice air-conditioned cars here, and but they're sleeping out in this, and all this construction happening right next to it. I just find that mind-blowing, dude. But yeah, actually, in my case, I need to tell you that I had a situation where I needed like thousands of dollars just to keep what I have, my cars. Both my RV and my Jeep needed serious stuff costing thousands of dollars, plus I had an insurance bill coming up. And I don't want to talk too much about it as far as the details, just to protect all things, but a blessing came, and it was enough to cover all this stuff that suddenly came against me. And I don't want to get too, you know, oh, it was a miracle, you know, like a lot of people do about stuff that, you know, it's just, you can't really tell, you know. It could just be, you know, someone making a decision or something happening, you know. But as I looked at this, it really did look like God's hand was on it, because, I mean, like right away, I had like $5,000, more than that, worth of stuff. I had serious stuff that went wrong. And I mean, you know, stuff that has to be repaired over time. And one of them was that my RV wouldn't start. And I've had this problem for like over 2 years, and I have not been able to figure it out. When it gets cold for some reason, it will just completely die on me. And it's a real pain, especially when it's your vulnerable sitting duck homeless mobile. It's dark, it's night, you need to move it, or any other number of reasons. Sorry, stuttered my speech, blah, blah. Any other number of reasons that I need to move that thing right away. So it's a huge, scary pain in the tuchus here, and you know, finally I got something done about it. I took it into this guy. It was very good. I mean, and even that guy was mystified. He had to keep my car for 2 days. I had to sleep in the car here. Had to keep the RV for 2 days because he wanted to keep it overnight to see, because he couldn't figure out why it wasn't starting after he put a new starter in it. It's really weird. And it's a Toyota 22RE, in case you know anything about that. They last forever. Less than 60,000 miles. That thing, you know, should be solid for a long time. Transmissions don't hardly go out on them, you know, so it's that's one of the reasons I bought it. Even though it was wasted, I had to spend like thousands of dollars just to get the body from leaking, and it was right in the rainy season, so I'm like sleeping on the couch and there's water leaking in on the bed and everything, and it's like full of holes, and I'm like, it takes a long time to get this crap out of there. And then I had to buy a bunch of power tools because I got no place to plug in anything to cut the stuff that I need, cut and drill and everything. So I bought all these expensive power tools. Luckily I had the money left over from the last of the inheritance that I got, and blew all that just buying the RV and the stuff that I needed, and back to Brokesville. And right after I became a TI, you know, well, actually that was about a year into being a TI, and it's just wild. It was like really intense, that whole scene. But I just want to tell you that it's really cool that you know, someone helped me out, and it was just really wild how all that happened. And I may talk about it more in the future, but what I have gotten into the habit of doing is protecting people that might be vulnerable, and you know, this person is probably also a target, and even though that person may not realize it, and I don't want to say anything much about it, but let's just say it was highly unusual how this all happened, and just an amazing you know, situation, and it's amazing news. It's good news, and I mean, you know, the worst of it's over, and I got through it, and it just might be a real blessing for me. I don't know. You know, you never know how things turn out, but it was amazing that I got some amazing help, and it's great. So I just want to tell you guys some good news, and also, you know, just a shout out to all my TI friends out there that watch my channel regularly. I really thank you all for, you know, even though my channel is heavily shadow banned, you can see by the ridiculously low view counts compared to the number of subscribers, and if you compare the type of content that I upload in comparison to what others upload, and then you see that they're getting like, you know, 20,000, 50,000 views on their, you know, semi-good movie, and I'm uploading, you know, pretty quality stuff, and I'm getting like 1,200 views, 800 views, yeah, you know. So if you're watching my channel, you know, somehow you've gotten through the fray, and you like the stuff that I post, so I appreciate you guys watching even so, and you know, do the best I can to keep rocking. You know, that's all I can do, and so that's what I plan on doing, and I think actually, you know, eventually it's going to get pretty interesting. So I would just say, you know, check in now and again, and see what's coming, because as time goes on, things are getting thick. It's getting interesting. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen next? I have no idea what's going to happen next, but I plan on keep jamming, and we'll see what happens. You know, basically, what's going to happen, as you guys know. I mean, I've, you know, told you all this about what's going to shortly happen in the future, and those of you who follow the prophecy in God's word, you know, you know that our day is coming. But I would just tell all my friends out there to continue to be patient, because as usual, we may think that, you know, it's got to be any time now, and you know, there just can't possibly be any delay. You know, there's no way it can be, you know, 20 years from now. There's just no way. That'd be way too long. It's got to be like any year now. And as a matter of fact, yeah, it could be, in my opinion, it could be as much as 30, 40 years before anything significant really changes, like, you know, the World War III, or you know, the abomination of desolation sitting where it ought not to be, the rebuilding of the temple, you know, anything like where you just go, wow, it really is like getting on the end time, because like now we're kind of in this mediocre stage, and everybody keeps posting these videos. Yeah, 2019, that's it. You know, 2018, that's the year. 2017 for sure is when Jesus is coming back. You know, and of course, you know, we're all sitting here waiting, and nothing ever happens. So I would just say, don't worry about these people that post these videos that, you know, are saying that something's about to happen, and I wouldn't bother even watching, you know, unless it's from somebody really credible. But I would just say that these are just hype getters, they're view getters, and they really are not going to last, and they're not going to continue to post interesting stuff. But we who do will continue on. That's so wild, man. Look at these. I'm surprised that they allow these tent villages over here. I mean, this is just really, really weird. I mean, look at that, dude. Imagine living there. Imagine living in a tent in these places. That bus is blocking the view. But imagine living in a tent right there. Look at these tents here. And it is, just to let you know, guys, down here in downtown Los Angeles, unless you are familiar with a nasty-ass city with lots of dirt and grime from vehicle exhaust and factory exhaust, you just don't know how dirty and nasty everything is. I mean, I can come down here to visit, but you do not want to live down here, in my opinion. I mean, you know, if you're used to it and this is your home area, you know, you're used to it, but there's so many, you know, I mean, not to speak against the homeless, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, a lot of them are just like totally, you know, just out of it and diseased and crapped out. There's, you know, they're just total. And so, I mean, you do not want to, you don't want to be sitting next to these people a lot in coffee shops, because they're like, you know, they're nasty and they're always asking for money, and they're, you know, they're just, it's really nasty. But it's hard to know what to do with them. You know, it's hard to figure out what the best thing is. But I'll tell you, we got to do something. I mean, there's got to be some solution to this. You know, I think about it a lot. You know, because as a homeless person myself, and by the way, you know, if some people have commented that living in your RV isn't homeless, and I can understand that point of view, because it's not the same thing as living in a tent or sleeping on the ground. But I offer you this, for those of you who might have that opinion: you fucking try it for a year and then get back to me, and then don't see if you don't call it homeless. No, just try it for a year. Try it for a year. All right, and then come back. Let me know. Let me know if you think it's that's not home. That's not being homeless. You try it for a year. And also, it's not the same. You know, if people who have not been forced in that situation, they've always had friends, they've always had family, they've always had, you know, someone that they could crash with, and they've never been homeless without a choice. There's a difference between camping out in your RV, traveling around, having a good old fun time, and being homeless without a choice. And there is a big old difference, like huge. And you try that out for size, and then you'll have a whole new perspective on what homeless means and what human beings really are. Direct overhead, black and white, coming around for a buzz. Okay, here he comes again. There's another one coming in for a circling around. Silver and gray, silver and blue, LAPD. Turns off, noticing that I've got the camera on him. Yeah, so it's really a trip being a target, as I know a lot of you watching out there are well familiar with this. You tend to forget about these things a lot, you know, even though you don't forget it, but it leaves your mind for a moment as you just, you know, try to enjoy the day, and then and the stalking continues. You know, you're reminded, and that's part of the whole program, is to, you know, keep you in this state of, you know, believing maybe it's going away, and then it comes back. You know, thinking maybe it stopped, then it comes back. Forget about it for a little while, and then it comes back. You know, that's how it works. But actually, it really, like, for instance, that right there, you know, I'm used to it. It doesn't cause the emotional turmoil that it does. I guess, you know, there is somewhat of getting used to it. down here in Little Tokyo, and I was thinking about the how American culture seems to unfortunately have a kind of it has a combative atmosphere. While we have an atmosphere of acceptance and tolerance and everything that we're supposed to be projecting, and you know, in some ways we do have it, but in other ways there's a kind of a contention, and one of them that I have felt in particular as an anime fan is the prejudice against whites in the Asian sphere of Japanese anime fandom, and because, you know, it's like there's a little bit of the as long as you're not black or white kind of feeling, and just speaking personally from my experience, a couple of times I have been taken aback by the exclusion type of vibe like that I've gotten. I mean, I've got the exclusion vibe from my own race just plenty, so I'm not singling out like it's, you know, a big phenomenon or anything, but it is in fact something I experienced, especially like when I was basically, I kind of like the idea of getting together with fellow fans. I even had an online group called Artist Manga Group, and it was international, and people even got married. This couple met through my group, and basically all we did was just do a little bit of artwork and then share it with. I would collect it in a collection and then send it back out. Like they would send a couple of stamps, and then I would send it back out, and it was just kind of fun, you know. But a couple of times I've like just met some people. It's always been my dream, like, to meet up with some cool people who were into Japanese anime mech culture. And twice now, in particular, that I can remember, I have seen some people and you know, introduced myself and talked with them, and they just gave me like the, you know, yeah, we would kind of prefer not, just because of my race. I know, because there was no other reason that at least I could think of. Who knows, you know, maybe they think I was cool or something, but I mean, in a lot of these cases, I know that I'm just as talented, you know, as anybody in that field, so the only thing I can think of is that it's a race issue, you know. But, hold on, I'm gonna go in the coffee shop here. Sorry, it's real noisy in here, but I felt like commenting a little bit that long before I became a TI, I was, and still am, so outside the spirit of the world that I, for instance, will not go into a restaurant where there's a waiter or waitress that serves you. Like this restaurant here, I was just thinking, and the reason for that is that I learned early on that the people in these places, including in this place here, it doesn't matter. There's not I'm not talking about the cultural difference between whites and Japanese. I totally know about that. I mean, it's always going to be, you know, racial divide. Sorry, it's real noisy in here, but I just wanted for the record to tell you that even as I exist right now, and as I've always existed for, like, ever since I became a Christian, really, but I didn't know I was on the outside spiritually of the world before I became a Christian, and then I realized Jesus said, if you were of the world, then they would love you, and from then on, I realized that you are. There's a great opening scene in the movie when Marnie was there, and she says you're either in the circle or you're out. And even now, like if I go to eat at a restaurant, or like if I go to eat like over here, I'm gonna go to like the marketplace where there's no waiter. You know, you just get your bowl of soup and your sushi or whatever, and you sit down. There's no waiter. But so that's something that I've always experienced. I've always been on the outside in that sense. and it's really well. I mean, I've gotten used to it. I know, for instance, that I'm going to be, you know, I can feel it coming, and I know I'm going to be vulnerable in that situation because they can sense. See, like even if like sometimes I can fool them if I dress really nice. Like if there's just no doubt you have money, then you can't. Like if that's one solution. But even if I had that a really nice 3-piece suit and gold and stuff, you could only fool them for so long. They will recognize or they will hate you for some reason. This has nothing to do with appearance. It's spiritual. That's what I'm beginning to learn, is that everything here is spiritual, and that is going to be more clearly revealed in the future. Now we can't see a bloody thing, but it's going to be revealed.
There for a long time. Oh, he's taking him in. He must be taking him in. No? Yeah, he's not in there anymore. Yep, they must have cuffed him and stuffed him. Helicopter approaching. Got the approach noise. Watch for an overhead. Direct overhead, direct overhead. But you know, I know that there are plenty of cool Japanese people, probably all in Japan, and don't speak a word of English, or they speak a lot more English than I speak Japanese. And they're cool, and they're not, you know, these kind of exclusivist people that, you know, they kind of, you know, are snobby. See, what I wanted to comment about it is, it's that same thing that I was complaining about with being homeless. It's a lack of emotional fortitude, a reserve of self-confidence in that situation. And what I'm saying is that the people, the Japanese that are here, due to the overwhelming situation of racism against them that I know that they experience, because you know, you see it all the time, and it's just, you know, and they're already, as a Japanese American, as a Japanese that speaks English, or any Asian that was born here and that, you know, they're 3rd or 4th generation, they are not going to be, you know, they're going to have a deficit somewhere. I mean, maybe unless they're really confident and they're, you know, they don't have any sort of deficit. But I would not hold it against them. I mean, it's understandable. So what happens is they plug in to this cool kind of, you know, Asian specific cool genre of anime and pop art culture, if they are fans of that. And then there's a little bit of a sense of this is for non-whites and blacks. This is kind of a more Asian thing, at least, like if they're Korean or, you know, Taiwanese or whatever, you know, Filipino, you know, Asian. Okay, it's as long as you're not white or black or Hispanic, okay? And it's understandable, you know, it's understandable. Where for me, it hurts my feelings a little bit because, you know, there's something in my, I think that I was, either descendant or something. I have, maybe it's just because I grew up with it, you know, and I grew up with when I first saw like the way Japanese make stuff, you know, whether it's models or cartoons I saw on TV, there was just something I really connect with. And I know right now there's 1 million plus white guys and gals just like me who have the same feeling. Okay, they have that same feeling, like it touches a special place in them because it was something that they really liked as kids, and they'll go to their grave the same as me, always loving it, even if they get a little bit of a standoffish vibe, like this is our, you know, from Asians or Japanese in particular, who's kind of feel like, you know what, this is our thing, okay? You know, we don't need you, you know, white guy or black guy or Hispanic guy. I think probably they have the most, it feels to me, maybe it's, you know, of course it's a skewed perspective, it feels to me like it's the especially not white, and probably, you know, there's less so black, but I know there's a lot of black guys that love anime. I mean, I run into them all the time, you know, they love it, but I think it's very few, as I was thinking about earlier, and I've commented on this, that it's very few. In fact, I don't think, you know, I was thinking of an interesting challenge would be to see if you could get some artists who really dig, like they're really good and skilled, they're really good, and see if you could get them to draw maybe a manga or you know, even a single piece that, if they put it up with some other comparable Japanese source, you know, Japanese made by real Japanese DNA person, and see how close you could get it. See if you can get a situation where you could match it. And in my opinion, you probably won't be able to, because I can always tell a little bit. There's a little bit of something that's quite distinct, whether it's in the DNA or something. But see, I think it's a DNA thing, because you'll notice a consistency with the flavor and the finesse with which they do it. It's a DNA specific thing, but I would still say that it would be possible if a skilled enough artist, not me necessarily, I have some skill, but I'm really not that. I'm more just like a hobbyist sketcher. I don't have the pro skill, but somebody could who was really talented. And I think I've seen some stuff like with the paintings, you know, like these really fine paintings you'll see on various cool websites that have featuring people's artwork, you know, sketchbooks and stuff like that. You'll see some stuff occasionally that, you know, it's really nice. But I mean, just that line work, like if not even just a painting, what's more rare is to see like just the line work, like the schematics or an animation that could be pretty much like an animation cell design. I don't see it. It's probably out there, but I hardly see it. And that would be the real challenge, is if you could minus all the distraction of a fine, you know, Photoshop painter type painting, get something with just the lines and the basic flat colors that really matches Japanese anime. That would be a real challenge. That would be a real interesting thing to see develop. And you know, I know this is kind of getting like into my personal interests, and I think that God wants me for the most part to focus on His things and the things of salvation, you know, and I don't intend to deviate this channel off into my personal hobby comments, but it is a window by which I see the world. I really don't have that much besides that I do, besides the whole exposure thing and videos that are exposing Satan's kingdom and preaching the gospel and teaching, you know, doing my little essays. But it's a way to, it's also a window with which I can look at other mysteries and reflect upon them. And I actually think that there's a lot of interesting stuff that correlates with Scripture in anime. in my 3-part series, Jerusalem Pre-Dawn, I commented that some of these anime characters and various media have things that that look to me like a vision of the Spirit, but also other characters like the Lord Jesus, who like I think like Rick Hunter and that main cop dude from Riding Bean just kind of reminds me. I haven't really studied some of those anime, but some of these characters, they just, you know, and it's just a, you know, offhand opinion. I'm not basing that on you know, scientific hardcore, you know, no doubt about it evidence. It could just all be, you know, subjective, personal application, and that's how I have that opinion. But in any case, I do think that it's just kind of interesting that it. I would say though, as a general phenomena, whether a specific characters or story is in fact derived from, or is sourced somehow from a vision of God. Like for instance, Sanctus. If you've never seen that, I saw it a long time ago. It was all in Japanese. It just recently somebody posted a version of it, or at least I ran into it just recently, posted it on YouTube, so it's the first time I actually had the translation. But the two characters really do. There's even the English-speaking person who translates it, puts in the subtitle text of the title, he says, "Is it holy?"